Right, in this video we're going to look at decimal multiplication. In particular we're going to look at two-digit integers multiplied by a number with one decimal place. So for example 27 multiplied by the 3.4. So let's get started on this one. Just to note, I will use a multiplication method. I'll use column method because I'm used to that and I feel it's more efficient. If you use something else, that's absolutely fine. But I would check with your teacher to make sure that it is acceptable. In some cases at least, some multiplication methods are not accepted by exam boards, so it could affect your GCSE. So the best thing really is to run it by your teacher and they'll let you know if it's okay or not. So 27 multiplied by 3.4. I don't have any issue with the 27. I can multiply integers no problem. Where my issue comes is with this decimal place. So what I would prefer actually if this was 34 instead of having that decimal place there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply 3.4 by 10. So now I'm going to do instead, apologies, need to get rid of that decimal place. We've got 27 multiplied by 34. So using my column method, I'll always put the bigger number on top. So 34 multiplied by 27. So always start on the right hand side, so it's 7 times 4, 28, carry the 2, 7 times 3, 21, add on that 2 is 23. So essentially here I did 34 multiplied by 7, and that's my 238. So next we move into this column with our 2, so that is the tens column. So straight away what you want to do is put a 0 in here, okay? Just to signify that it's pushing over one more column. So 2 times 4 is 8, 2 times 3 is 6, nothing to carry, and what I essentially did here was I did 34 multiplied by 20, that was. So adding these together we get 8, 11, carry the 1, 9, 918 is my answer. But that was my answer if it was 34 multiplied by 27. We don't want that. Our answer needs to be smaller than that. You could almost estimate actually. Our answer should roughly be something like 30 multiplied by 3. So it should be more like 90 than 918. If you recall, I cheated a little bit earlier. I multiplied here by 10 to make it easier. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reverse that now and do the opposite. So the opposite of multiplying by 10 is dividing by 10. So if I divide my answer by 10, it gives me 91.8, which you recall I said roughly our answer should be about 90. So our answer to 27 multiplied by 3.4 is 91.8, like so. So again, just to reiterate, change these decimals into a whole number initially, and then you don't have to worry about the decimal point when you're doing your multiplication. At the very end of your multiplication, you need to reverse this step, so do the opposite, and that'll get you roughly what your or exactly, I should say, what your answer is. But again, you should roughly know what it is by doing a little bit of estimation initially. So let's look at one more example and you can try one for yourself. So on this one, it's 42 multiplied by 0.3. Now first of all, this 0.3 is obviously a very small number. It's less than 1. So what I would expect here is that my number 42 is actually getting smaller because I'm multiplying by such a small number here. Let's change this decimal into a whole number. So there's only one digit after the decimal point, so I will multiply by 10, and that gets us our integer here, our whole number. So 42 multiplied by 3 is the calculation I will do, but remember we need to change this or reverse this later on. So 42 at the top because it's my bigger number again, and we're multiplying by 3. And actually this multiplication should be a little bit easier than the last one because we're only multiplying 2 digit by 1 digit. 3 times 2 is 6, 3 times 4 is 12, so 126. But again, if you recall, I did say that this should be getting smaller. So it definitely shouldn't be getting bigger. So I reckon it's probably more like 12.6, but let's check. So we want to do the opposite of multiplying by 10, so we'll divide by 10 here. And that will give us 12.6, and that is our answer to 42 multiplied by 0.3. Okay, and that looks realistic as well, because it has gotten smaller. Double check your multiplication if you wish, but 12.6 is your answer. So what I would suggest is have a go at this one for yourself. So pause the video. I would refer back to this first one we did up here, because it'll be 2 digit by 2 digit. So pause the video now and see how you do with it. Right guys, hopefully your first step, you would have changed this decimal into a whole number. So multiply by 10, and we're going to do 18 multiplied by 52 initially. So 52 at the top multiplied by 18. Always starts here on the right hand side. So 8 times 2 is 16, carry the 1. 8 times 5 is 40, add on the 1 is 41. So here is what I did was 52 multiplied by 8 initially. Okay, so now we move over onto the tens column, so put in your 0 initially. 1 times 2 is 2, 1 times 5 is 5. So what we did this time round, we multiplied 52 by this 1, which actually is a 10 because of the column it's in. Add them together, so we have 936 is our answer. But obviously that's way too big for this answer. This is roughly 20 multiplied by 5, roughly. So our answer should be around 100. So I reckon this is probably 93.6. Let's check. So here I multiply by 10. So let's divide by 10. And that would be 93.6, which is very close to 100. So I would reckon that is the correct answer, 93.6. Right guys, hopefully this made sense to you and you enjoyed the video. Keep practicing these. I will do some more videos on some other decimal multiplication, okay?